ultimately, they should just do this for football. If you want to have these mega conferences, do this just for football, because we always, this is about football, and that's how we look at it. But think about these other teams, whether it's the swim team, whether it's the lacrosse team, the basketball team. Football is different because it's such a moneymaker, and I get that, and it's once a week. But for these other sports that play maybe multiple times a week, it's different. And so that's one thing we don't tend to focus on, but the travel is going to be brutal. And what a strange, who would have ever thought, yeah, the ACC, Duke, Carolina, Stanford, Cal, that sounds like a bad joke.
I had the ultimate old person response to this because my first thought was, how are we going to explain this to the kids? Stanford and the Atlantic Coast Conference? Do you know what those words mean? Stanford is not on the Atlantic Coast. Neither is Cal, and neither is an SMU, I should say. So maybe SMU makes kind of sense. At least they're in the same half of the United States. But Stanford and Cal? That's long travel for those people, especially, like you said, if it's not just football. Football has been trying to figure out Game of Thrones. I need a flow chart to see where these conferences are, what teams are in said conference, and which quarterback has gone to another school. Because isn't this the fun game to play right now is name that quarterback's pass. And you see the name and you say, okay, I know this name from somewhere.
Right.
Where did this quarterback come from? Because all the quarterbacks in college football, it feels like came from another school. It's the transfer portal universe that we're now living in.
Oh, yeah. Next year, JT Daniels is going to be playing for Coastal Carolina. I can't wait to see that go down. It's ridiculous. And now, I already am not great with conferences because I'm like, wait a second. Is that AAC? Is that Conference USA? It's one of my weak spots because I got so locked into where every team was, and then we already had some sort of realignment. And now BYU's in the Big 12. So is Cincinnati. I'm getting used to that. And now when I say USC and UCLA, and immediately I have to say, those two schools in the Big 10, I can't wrap my brain around that. And I don't even think that's an old person thing to say, honestly. West Coast schools, Stanford in the Atlantic Coast Conference, as you mentioned. Now, Big Ten, not the Big Ten anymore. The AC, it means nothing. The Pac-4, whatever conference is going to be now. None of the names even make sense anymore. How about Saturday's game? Let's just throw a random game out here. I don't know. Let's find one. How about Rice at Texas? Woo, dog! There you go, Double D. Oh, the Longhorns. Are they back? Yes, they're going to be back. This is our year. Number 11, Texas, soon to be in the top 10. Texas laying 35.5 points. Texas minus 10,000 on the money line. Rice plus 2,000. Total set at 55.5. Chelsa, before I go into my spiel here, and Double D, thank you for that. What do you think is going to happen in this game? I love Texas. I am on Texas. Stunning, I know. But this is a big number.
Exactly. And I think I was so excited for week 1 of college football until I looked down and saw all these massive spreads. Because normally, these are not games that I want to bet on. Although sometimes the talent differential is so big that it doesn't seem to matter that if it's a blowout or whatever. And Jenks is definitely not paying attention right now. He's just vibing to the music. We saw this last night between UCF and Kent State. Kent State got whooped 56-6. I would imagine this is probably what we see in the Texas against Rice game, especially when you have a dynamic offense like Texas that's probably not going to miss a beat. They return their starting quarterback, Quinn Ewers, which I don't have to tell you about. So I don't think that it's going to be a tough start for Texas. But now we have to strategize and find out if the full game spread is what we want, if maybe there's another creative way to play this. Jenks, would you consider looking at the first half spread, or do you think the full game over the course of 4 quarters we will see Texas really pile up the points.
I think Texas is going to pile up the points for a couple reasons. Rice is just not a good football team. Do you know who Rice's quarterback is? It's JT Daniels, which is absolutely bonkers to me. Remember JT Daniels? Started at USC, went to Georgia, went to West Virginia, and now he's at Rice? This guy looks like an auto mechanic. He's been in the game since 1981. That's okay. Nothing wrong with being a mechanic. Everyone needs their car worked on from time to time. And when JT Daniels does not go to the NFL, maybe he'll be a mechanic. And I'll say, I remember you in college. Or I'll remember you at various colleges, JT. And I remember when Texas put a whooping on you. Rice is just a bad football team. Who would be your MVP? I think most of us would go with Acuna Jr., but Mookie certainly is making a case.
Good morning. Acuna Jr. is my pick. It's super close, especially if Mookie Betts keeps this up over the next month. And let's say the Dodgers go on another run like they just did in August and even potentially catch up to the Atlanta Braves over the next month or so for home field advantage, then Mookie could win it. As far as defense, Mookie is better. As far as base running, obviously, Acuna Jr. has a massive advantage, but I think some of the voters are going to ding him a little bit because stolen bases are up so significantly. I don't think that should be the case, but that will be something they'll look at. Also, for me, what stands out is Acuna Jr. punishing teams early on in games. I mean, more so than any other player. Then that includes Mookie Betts. And for the Braves to get out to early leads, I think just really gave them that early cushion in the season and just took them to another level, made them the best team in baseball for a long time, gave them like a very comfy advantage in the division. So as of this very moment, I have Acuna Jr., but I actually do think that as far as the writers, and we're predicting what the writers are going to do, what they would be thinking about right now would actually lean towards Mookie because he does at least have more wins above replacement, which it's a good stat. It's not a perfect stat. And it's also, in my mind, sometimes a lazy stat that some writers go to and just say, cool, his WAR's higher, I'm voting Mookie.
Yeah, that kind of sucks because I think you are spot on with the tone that Ronald Acuna Jr. sets as the leadoff man. Because the Braves have been wagons in the first 5 innings because they jump off to these early leads. And a lot of it is Ronald Acuna Jr. hitting leadoff home runs, stealing all these bases, and putting his team in a great position to win all of these games and stress-free. So now we have this Dodgers and Braves series, which I know a lot of people are focusing on football right now, but this is the series that all of us in baseball have been waiting to see. Granted, it's not the same starting pitcher matchup that we would probably see in the NLCS. Just how important do you think this regular season series is between the Braves and the Dodgers?
It was the playoffs yesterday. I mean, that was a freaking playoff game. I'll have to think. I didn't do all of my reminiscing yet on 2023, but that's probably the game of the year. If not, it's up there in terms of the intensity. Dodger Stadium was packed as hell, and those two teams were playing as if it was a playoff game. Hey, maybe the only difference is the manager leaves a little bit of a longer hook, say, for someone like Lance Lynn, who finally had a bad start with the Dodgers. But I think it's important to both teams to get the competitive juices flowing at this time because they both have ridiculous, massive, double-digit leads in their division. So for both managers, I think they realize this is a chance for them to say, hey, this is a good test for where we're really at. This is better competition for us and also gives us a good little early preview of a team that we very well could face come playoff time. So I think it's a huge deal to both sides to win these ball games. And I think that it's going to be the series of the year because these teams are such heavyweights on this side for the entire season. Both teams getting pretty healthy at the right time. And then like yesterday, for example, I think you just have two offenses showing off how damn good they are. I mean, on the other side, like for the Braves, Spencer Strider is an ace. I mean, he's really their guy in terms of swing and miss, and the Dodgers were able to get to him a little bit. So it was really cool. For the Dodgers, they're trying to prove that the Braves aren't just in a class of their own, and as we all know, they're the favorites at a pretty good margin right now to win the World Series at this time of year. And I think the Dodgers are trying to prove that this is a team that could be upset